Charlie Cousin. Today I'm going to be ranking 15 bear villagers, but well, there isn't like 16 of them, but there's actually 15 in total. But there might be a few cranky villagers, just to give you guys the heads up, because I don't know why there's so many cranky villagers in this speech, but you're probably going to find out soon enough. So let's get into it, shall we? So our first villager is Beardo, who's a smug villager. Well, the thing is, I know it's not everyone's sort of cup of tea because he looks kind of like, sort of different from some of the bear villagers that you're probably like, sort of hoping for. But at the end of the day, he might fit like, two cores that I could probably recommend, which are Goth Core and Elegant Core. Well, for me, I think he'll fit Goth Core very well because he looks a bit, strange. He's wearing a moustache. He's got like a bit of a beard, sort of like muscular sort of hair, etc. So he could be a Goth Core villager if you want to have him as a Goth Core villager or something like that. But he could also be an Elegant Core because I know that some smug villagers might be suitable for Elegant Cores. So you know what I mean. I was going with the the both of them at the same time, but I had to give him a 4 out of 10 because the thing is, he's not quite my cup of tea, but sometimes when I see him I think, oh no, not Beardo the weirdo. But that's what I mean, everyone calls him Beardo the weirdo these days, because that's why, because he looks different, doesn't he, from everybody else. But if you guys agree with me, go low, then that's alright. If you guys disagree with me, want to go high for him, then I won't recommend it. Let's get to the next one, shall we? So our next villager is Charlie, who's a sister villager. Well, I was trying to think myself, what cores would she suit the best? Well, I was thinking Kid Core and City Core. Well, the only reason why I went with Kid Core is because she's bright green, and I thought, well, that might fit. So you could have her as a Kid Core villager if you wanted her in Kid Core, for example, if you try and make the most colourful as the rainbow or something like that. Or you're going with City Core, because she could be a City Core villager as well, because she might live in a house that's has a lot of City Core items inside, and she might have a lot of stuff to do with fitness and that stuff. So you can put in both cores, but if you want to put the two cores together and make it like a 2-core island, I'll literally recommend that. I think that'd be awesome. I've not seen a 2-core island before, but I wish I could visit that on a dream address at some point. But speaking of multi-core islands, I know that Tiger's doing one, but she thinks she's still working out at the moment. But if I can get the dream address for it, then I might do an Iron Tour video, probably a few months on, because you don't know, do you, sometimes. But I also given her an 8 out of 10 because I don't actually mind her that very much, because she's one thing, she looks quite, green, she looks more colourful and that stuff, so, and she is quite unique as well, so you know what I mean. If you guys do want Charlie's on Kid Core or City Core, or in both cores, I recommend her straight away. So let's get to the next one, shall we? Our next villager is Chow, who's a cranky villager. Well, it was kind of hard for me to decide when it came to 2 cores, so the only ones I could probably suggest for him are Goth Core and Japanese Core. The only reason is inside his house interior, it has all the bamboo furniture, and plus that's why I've suggested in Japanese Core, because he's like a panda. But in a way, he could also name it Sen Core if you wanted to, because it don't have to be Japanese Core if you wanted to. You could always just mix it up as you want. But the only reason that I went with Goth Core is that he looks a bit creepy, and plus the weird thing is that he looks a bit sunburnt, doesn't he? Candy floss sunburnt, you know what I mean? I feel really bad for poor Chow, but if he wasn't sunburnt, he'll look very reasonable. But I had to give him a 2 out of 10. He's not really my cup of tea, and he's one of my least favourite bears that I wouldn't have my eye on in particular. So if you guys want to agree with me and go low, it's fine. If you guys disagree and want to go high for Chow, then feel free. I don't mind really. Let's get to the next one, shall we? So our next villager is Curt, who's a cranky villager. Well, I was not sure what core I was supposed to go with, what iron theme or core, whatever. I couldn't really think to myself, what iron core could I go with? Well, City Core was one of them, but the only reason is that he looks more of a city sort of bear in particular, and he might also have more determination, and he might be more motivated than some of the bears. He might want to exceed in life and that sort of stuff. Well, if you're thinking about other cores for Curt, then you could just go with them if you wanted to, because you don't have to always go with City Core and anything else. You could just think of something else or something. Well, the thing is, I couldn't really think of what I could supposed to rank him, but I had to give him a 3 out of 10 because he's not one of my favourites, sort of like, you know, bears in particular, and he's not my cup of tea. So if you guys are thinking if you want to have curt on your islands, like for city core or any other core that you can think of, then you could probably do that in the meantime. But let's get to the next one, shall we? So our next villager is Grizzly, who's another cranky villager. Well, I kind of like, you know, Grizzly in particular because he looks like, you know, different from some of the bears, and plus he has got, you know, yellowy eyes. So in a way, if I didn't mention Gothcore on there, then I will try and, like, you know, use it, etc. Because I can't believe I forgot to, like, you know, add that on there. But if not, you could also put him in Gothcore as well. But I had to go with Cottagecore for him in particular because I thought, well, he gives me that vibe when we have the log cabin vibe. It gives me the Cottagecore vibe straight away. So if you wanted to, like, do like a log cabin sort of island and you want to have him as your log cabin roomie, then yeah, he'll fit the island pretty well. And plus, he's definitely one of the best bears that I would probably rank as a 9 out of 10 because I feel like, yeah, he deserves a 9. And plus, even though he's not that popular, it'd be nice if he gets a 9 out of 10 for me today. So let's get to the next one, shall we? So our next villager is Groucho, who's a cranky villager. Well, the thing is, I only had to go with 2 cores. One is Gothcore and the other one's City Core because I feel like Gothcore would probably fit, you know, Groucho well because one thing, he looks a bit, you know, a little bit spooky in a way, but you never know. I think he'll fit Gothcore a little bit better. But if you think about City Core, I think he could be a City Core villager because the way he's sort of dressed a little bit, he has that sort of vibe going on with the City Core vibe, so I quite like the way he sort of looks, really. But the thing is, I had to give him a 5 out of 10, which is like, you know, one of my safe spot ideas. Well, he's going to get a safe spot for me today because I feel like there's a few fans now that really want Groucho to get, like, you know, from least popular to most popular, which is what's going on at the moment. But I know there's a few fans out there that definitely like Groucho, so if you guys are like big fans of Groucho and want to give him a higher than a 5, then recommend it. If you don't, go low. It doesn't matter, to be honest. It's your decision anyway. Let's get to the next one, shall we? So our next villager is Ig, who's a cranky villager. Well, he looks kind of depressed for me, so it puts me in that perspective that he might be one that I'm going to rank low today. So that's what I mean by that, really. Well, the only 2 cores that I could only go with were Jungle Core and Goth Core. Well, one for Goth Core, he looks a bit, you know, scary in a way, and he might come out of nowhere and go boo without you knowing. Sometimes you can think about Goth Core villagers like that sometimes, and he might fit in Goth Core. But Jungle Core, because he looks like he's wearing like a jungle theme like sort of outfit, which puts me in that perspective that Jungle Core also help Ig a little bit as well. But I had to give him a 1 out of 10 because he's not my cup of tea in a way. So if you guys are like he's not your cup of tea either, then if you like agree with me, etc., then you can just go low. If you don't, go high. I don't mind really. Let's get to the next one, shall we? So our next villager is Klaus. He is a smug villager. Well, he looks also a little bit depressed a little bit as well, doesn't he? He looks like he's not having a good time in a way. But again, I feel like he looks like more of a sort of like an elegant core sort of like bear that you might want to have on your island. So I'll probably recommend Klaus for example. If not, you could always have a few other suggestions. So I think the only 2 villagers that I would probably recommend for elegant core, if you're thinking about it when it comes to Greek-themed villagers, well, I'll say Klaus and Coulter will be the best sort of perspective ones in particular. Well, I had to give him a 5 out of 10 because I know he's not that popular in a way, but end of the day, he does need some, like, I think he needs more improvement, to be honest. So if you're thinking about it, if he looked like, you know, more wiser instead of being a bit, you know, depressed, he'll look much better, wouldn't he? Because all like Greek goddesses and all that stuff, they look more wiser, look more happy in the face. Now if they could try and change that, that would be great for me, to be honest. Let's get to the next one, shall we? So our next villager is Megan, who's a normal villager. Well, it's a bit unfortunate she's the only like normal villager in the bear species, but again, she does serve a bit of a purpose, doesn't she, for herself, and plus she's definitely like the most like iconic one there is, because I know there's a few like, you know, fans out there definitely want Megan to get to tier 1, I must say, because Just look at her. She does definitely need to be in tier 1, but even though she's not like a 2.0 villager like the other recent villagers, it'd be nice if she was actually in the tops, you know what I mean? Well, the only two cores that I could only go with are Fairy Core and Kid Core, because they'll probably suit her very well, because if you look at a Fairy Core, her purple colour might actually work out. And if you're doing it in Kid Core, maybe because the colour of purple, like, violet, that would work in the colours of the rainbow. So you know what I mean? You could do stuff like that, and plus you could remodel a house maybe twice for Fairy Core and Kid Core. If you're doing her like a house interior and probably her exterior for Fairy Core, it has to be pastel colours. But if you're doing it for example, Kid Core, like in the interior and exterior, they both look good really. So, but I also gave her like a 7 out of 10 because I feel like, well, it'd be nice if she got more fans out there in a way, And I did beat her on a villager hunt once, but it was quite rare, so the bears are definitely the rarest ones, even though there's only 15 of them, So let's get to the next one, shall we? So our next villager is Nate, who's a lazy villager. Well, he kind of looks like Winnie the Pooh in a way because he's got the same colour scheme as him a little bit, so he might be a good reference to Winnie the Pooh if you're looking for a Kid Core villager like Nate, for example. But he could also be in, cottage core in some retrospect, because if you're thinking about making like a nature reserve or maybe like a campsite, like little or caravan like sort of thing when you get on your irons, then you could probably recommend him. Maybe he could be on your iron for the house, something like that. Well, the thing is, I didn't know what I was supposed to rank him, but I gave him a 6 out of 10. It's kind of another safe spot for Nate, because he's not really the most popular bear that we know of, do we, at the moment. But if it changes ties when it comes to doing AnimalCrossingPaula.com, who knows? Nate might redeem himself for some reason, but who knows? Let's get to the next one, shall we? So our next villager is Paula, who's a Sicily villager. Well, the thing is, it was kind of hard for me to decide what iron cores would she actually fit in, but the only ones that I could only choose were cottage core and jungle core, because she gives me that sort of vibe going on, like when she's like a cottage core villager, that she can like live in a cottage far away, etc. And plus she could also be a jungle core villager, because she looks like I think she's like a cave woman in a way, so you could put a reference to jungle core being like she's like a cave woman in a way. So we can think of multiple cores for Paula if you try and look for some. But I also gave her like a 6 out of 10 because I know she's not really that popular, is she, Paula? But at the end of the day, doing like different like things for her, or putting her in different iron cores might be like more helpful for her in a way. So you know what I mean? So let's get to the next one, shall we? So our next villager is Pinky, who's a Perry villager. Well, the thing is, I'm sort of thinking to myself that she's definitely like the rarest sort of like bear villager, because she looks like a pink panda in a way, and plus she'd probably fit probably Japanese core and fairy core pretty well, because the thing about fairy cores is that you could put her in there because one thing, she's like she's got like pinkish, she's like a pink panda, so she'll fit the vibe in a way. But if you want to change your house interior and exterior for fairy core, etc., then you could probably do that anyway. Or if you just want to stick with Japanese core and just keep the house interior and exterior as it is, then it's fine really. Well, I had to give her an 8 out of 10 because I just like how her design's very incorporated, and plus you don't see pink pandas lately, do you? Because they don't exist, do they, half the time? But they look she looks more unique in my sort of eyes anyway. So let's go to the next one, shall we? So our next villager is Teddy, who's a jock villager. Well, the thing is, he definitely looks like a teddy bear in my sort of perspective, and plus he's got the same eyebrows as Murphy, who we looked at yesterday, so it's kind of good that I can just refer from yesterday's ranking video, you know what I mean? It's kind of good when you do it like that. But the only two cores that I had to randomly pick out were cottage core and kid core. Well, I had to suggest kid core for some reason because he looks like a teddy bear, so why not add him in kid core for etc. But I also went with cottage core because he might be like you know, a cottagecore villager who lives in a log cabin, for example. But you know what I mean? He could also be a cottagecore villager if you want to as a cottagecore villager, etc. So it doesn't matter what like iron cores you're doing him in. It just depends which ones he suits in most, to be honest. Well, I had to give him a 7 out of 10 because I think he needs more fans out there, even though there's a few, like, you know, fans out there like actually villager hunting for him right now. So I don't understand why he's not in tier 1 at the moment, but hopefully at some point Teddy gets popular because he's definitely won a few fans over, I must say. So let's go to the next one, shall we? So our next villager is Tutu, who's a pale villager. Well, the thing is that the only 2 cores that I could only recommend her is in Fairy Core and Wintry Core, even though I haven't actually mentioned Wintry Core before, so it's like it kind of counts that she would actually fit in Wintry Core. So yeah, only because she's like a polar bear, that's why I reference it to be like Wintry Core, etc. But you never know, she could actually fit into both, or you could have your own island like Wintry Island, but Fairy Core Island into both. So what if you could have one that's set in winter, but also had very core items, custom designs all over it, you know what I mean? You could also do a wintry Fairy Core Island if you wanted to, so you could put them both into both. Well, I had to give her a 9 out of 10 because I remember I think it's like a while back that I might have encountered her at some point in my villager hunts, but I probably sort of regretted it that I didn't take her in time. But who knows, if I'm doing like a different core island, I'll put her on top of my list because Tutu, she will be the one who's going to be coming to my Fairy Core Island if I'm doing one in the future, etc. But you never know. You could also, like, you know, pick her if you wanted to put her in your Fairy Core Island or something like that. So that's what I mean by that, really. The last villager of the day is Elsa, who's a sister villager. Well, I was sort of thinking to myself, what iron core would she fit in the most? Well, maybe she might fit Kid Core and Cottage Core. Well, those are 2 I had to go with because it was quite simple. If I didn't put her in those 2 cores, it would have been like a disaster in the way. So I had to put her in those 2 cores in the end. But you guys can decide if you want to put her in Cottage Core and Kid Core in a way based on her personality trait, etc. Well, I had to give her an 8 out of 10 because I know she's not really that popular in a way, but if you guys want to give her a high because Ursula might be your favourite villager in the tech, then go high if you wanted to, then in an 8 out of 10. Or if you're not really sure about it, then you could just go low if you wanted, if you wanted, to be honest. But let's go to the next one, shall we? Okay, so at least we got all those, like, you know, bear villagers out of the way for, like, you know, the end of, like, you know, May. But the thing is that just give you guys a quick announcement that might be, like, you know, not available tomorrow, so I might not do like an actual video, but I might do a short video, but I might have to schedule it for tomorrow. So in a way it'll be premiered tomorrow, but it might be at a different time. So whatever time I premiere at, it might probably premiere in the afternoon or the morning, or maybe in the evening or early evening. Well, it sort of depends really, but if you guys are thinking to yourself, oh, I'm not available, well, at least you've got something to watch, like, you know, tomorrow, you know what I mean? Make sure you leave a like on this video, and if you're new to my channel and see more of my content, please subscribe to the variety of content I enjoy, my involved, and of course some utopia content. But what I might do is that on Thursday I will start recording my Iron Talk video for Dreamy, and then maybe I might try and work on maybe the Iron Tour trailer thing as well for another, like, you know, island that I might go and visit, like, probably next Friday onwards after this sort of like bank holiday, etc. So you know what I mean, I've got that sort of sorted out and that stuff, but hopefully you guys sort of enjoy, like, you know, my dreamy iron tour that I'm probably going to post on Friday for you all. And also turn notifications for the Animal Crossing and Utopia content from me as well as stay. So bye for now, and I'll see you in this one, so bye.